Hello there. It's Friday, April 22nd, and this is Deborah Irene Storytime. I want to read a story to you today from my book, Someday I Will Write, that I've been reading from. And what I'd like to say first is the last story that I read earlier in the week, my golf story. Someone made a comment about don't forget ice skating when I mentioned I felt like I was a jack of all trades but master of none because I like to learn things. I don't want to miss out. I want to try different things. And so I do have an ice skating story that I would like to read to you today about my trying to learn to ice skate. And the title of this story is Dream It. And at the end of the story, I want to talk to you about dreaming just a little bit. But first, let me read you the story. Again, it's from my book, Someday I Will Write. It is the chapter, this section, Time to Work and a Time to Play. It's chapter 56, and it is titled Dream It. At one point in my life, there was nothing I wanted more than to figure skate Olympic style. Problem was, I didn't start training until I was 23, a tad bit late. So, as I sit here this morning enjoying one of my favorite things these days, sipping coffee in bed, and waiting to watch a few hours of Olympic ice dancing, I remember a ballerina. That was my first artistic dream. I wanted a beautiful tutu, and I wanted to be the featured dancer. I think I was about 4 years old. I pretended in secret because of physical limitations due to a couple of surgeries. I wasn't supposed to strain myself in the abdomen and groin area. So I hid from Mama and pretended and practiced on my own without formal dance lessons. I had 3 crisp can-cans, white, yellow, and blue, that I wore with my Sunday dresses. These became my tutus. I changed my wardrobe when I changed the old 78 records on that old player. And many of you don't know what 78s are. I'll just stop here and tell you. Well, in my generation, they were not popular records. You know, it was the 45s and the LPs, the albums. 78 was records that my grandmother had. And they were in between the size of a long play album and a 45. And these were some classical records that my grandmother had, and I used to try to dance to them. So that's what a 78 is. I didn't understand what first position was, but that didn't stop me from dancing. I dreamed it, and I danced what I felt from the music. Did I become a famous ballerina and that star? Obviously not, but I did the little I could at the time, and life changed and evolved, as did I. Life happens as we make choices and decisions, but my love for dance, elegance, and choreography always remained. Ice skating fascinated me as well, but there was never an ice skating rink in the towns in which I lived. I watched Peggy Fleming, then Dorothy Hamill, and dreamed of flowing elegantly and being a ballerina on the ice. Instead, my sister taught me to twirl a baton when I was 14. I perfected that well enough to make the team and enjoyed the formations and choreographed routines. And life continued on. I did a stint in the military, then focused on continuing my education and a corporate career. I squeezed in a few ballet lessons. That's when I was a young adult, and Mama wasn't around to watch or worry then. Then settled in Kansas City when I was 23 years old. There was an ice skating rink, a few of them actually, so I signed up for adult group lessons. If I could simply learn to skate backwards, that would be awesome. There were a few basics to learn first, like how to stop and start and how to trust the blades to hold you, the inside edge and the outside edge. Balance, bending the knees, and then finally the basic 3-turn. After a few weeks, skating backwards was on the schedule. I couldn't wait. The instructor worked with each of us individually after some initial instruction and demonstration. Nothing she showed me worked. Bend your knees, lean on the edge. Try to cross your left foot over the right as you lean in. It was hopeless. I was not getting this, and I didn't think I was going to get this. The thing I longed to learn above all else would not come easily, maybe not at all. My body didn't cooperate, and neither did my brain. I stayed late during the open skate session and practiced on my own for a couple of hours to no avail. I simply couldn't get it and left my weekly Monday evening lesson disappointed. I went about my normal work week and thought that I would not sign up for the next set of lessons since I couldn't seem to get past this hurdle of skating backwards. And then that Thursday night or early Friday morning, I awakened from a dream. I dreamed I was skating on a highway. I was on an exit ramp that wrapped around in a complete circle. I completed a 3-turn to switch directions from forward to backward. Remember, on my skates. I maintained my balance on the turn, and since the ramp was spiraling down, crossed my left foot over my right, bent my knees, leaned in deep on the outside edge of my right foot, crossed the left foot over the right, and kept going and going and going. But it was simply a dream. My eyes opened and I was fully awake instantly. Yes, it was a dream, but it wasn't simply a dream. I felt it. I had figured it out, and I knew it. Out loud, I announced, I can do it. I can do it. I couldn't wait to get to work and tell someone. Others didn't seem to share my excitement, but I knew I could do it. The following Monday, I sat down on the bench outside of the rink and laced my skates. I was early and excited. My instructor arrived as I tied up my last lace, and I bubbled over that I could do it. She questioned, "Skate backwards? Did you practice?" "No, I dreamed it." I don't think she believed me, but I didn't hang around to explain further. I stepped out on the ice and showed her. Same as in my dream, I did an outside 3-turn and kept skating backward. And then I discovered the most amazing thing. I could skate much more powerfully backward than forward. I didn't want to stop for the lesson. I didn't sign up for additional group lessons, but instead signed up for private instruction with a coach, made a skating skirt, and purchased a pair of very good customized boots or skates. I learned a great deal over the next couple of years: dance steps, spirals, spread eagles, layback Ina Bauer, a few jumps and a few spins. I had tremendous stretch and flexibility, but poor spinning technique. I knew I couldn't really compete, but it was fun to learn and dance on the ice. I cried when Ty Babylonia and Randy Gardner had to withdraw from the 1980 Winter Olympics seconds before their performance. And then life continued on. Babies to have, sons to raise, ball games to attend. I remembered my dream and stepped out onto the ice again 25 years later. At some point over the years, my customized skates were sold in a garage sale. I rented a pair and was surprised at how weak my legs were. I could barely complete a 3-turn. I stayed an hour, but left when a hockey team showed up to practice. What was I thinking? I'm 50-something. dancing, dreaming, skating. These days I have a small wardrobe of dresses, not tutus, and shoes, not skates. I dance on a wooden floor instead of an ice rink. I dance for enjoyment and exercise. I don't compete. I listen to the music. And sometimes I fall asleep meditating on a new waltz pattern. And I know it's true. If I can dream it, I can do it. And I cried when Meryl Davis and Charlie White won the first Olympic gold medal in ice dancing for the USA. It was beautiful. This was written and posted as a blog in February 2014. Indeed, I am a dreamer. I dreamed I could ice skate backwards, and I did. And I dreamed I could write a book, and I did. You know, I'd like to talk just a second about that dreaming aspect. I find the mind and dreams amazing and fascinating. I don't claim to understand it all. I don't always know the meaning, but I do find for me that as I rest my body in sleep, somehow, I know your mind keeps working, but somehow it's able to work better. And I have, I believe, heard the voice of God sometimes through my dreams. There have been times that when I fell asleep with a work problem, by resting my body and fell asleep, when I woke up in the morning, I had the answer to a difficult problem. Sometimes I dream silly dreams, and I know they're silly. And sometimes I wake up after a dream and know that God was trying to tell me something, that there was meaning in that dream. And so it's very important, I think, sometimes for us to be able to dream. And if you're not a dreamer, if you don't dream a lot when you go to sleep, we always can dream about things we can do, things we want to take place. It's just like I dreamed I could ice skate, and I did it in my sleep, and then I got up and was able to do it physically, in person. I really could do it. I had thought through it, and I felt it in the dream. And I dreamed I could write a book. No, I didn't fall asleep. That's not that kind of a dream. But I had the idea. People have said to me before, you must have read a lot when you were young. You must have been a great reader. You know, no, that's not the case. I was not a good reader. And as you can tell when I read these stories, sometimes I fumble through it. I was not the best writer, but I always had ideas. And my writing got a little bit better the more that I wrote. But the main thing was I could dream it. I could think of an idea. I thought of a concept of a book from beginning to end. And then I was able to do it because I dreamed it. I thought through it and I dreamed it. So my encouragement to you today during story time with Deborah Irene is just dream it. Just dream it.